Inspiration's still kind of there for us. We still love what we do. You know, it's we're not one of those bands that just kind of keeps going for the sake of it. I think we always like to reset and just find our new inspiration. So we took a couple of years off, found the juice supplier.
Welcome to Biffy Clyro joining us on Kerrang Radio. Simon, James and Ben, how are we?
Great,
well,
John.
thank you.
How you doing?
I'm very good indeed, yeah, very good. We were just talking about my history of tearing things and breaking things live. I mean, on that note, have we ever had any in-band injuries? Simon?
Yes.
It's usually Simon. It's quite
Yeah, maybe not quite as consistent as your DJing injuries, but yeah, I've broken a rib on stage, I've broken a tooth, I broke my ankle, all the fun stuff.
Oh, so you've done an ankle as well?
I did an ankle and then had to shoot a music video the next day. It was like the last show of a tour. We did 30 shows in 31 days. Last show was in Glasgow and I jumped off the top of the PA. As the gigs had been going on, I'd be getting braver and braver. The last night I jumped and my guitar was where it would have landed, so I had to jump out and my foot snapped. Went straight to A&E, then straight in the van to go down to shoot the questions and answers videos. So one of our early videos, I'm in a wheelchair with my foot in a cast, and that's because the night before I broke my ankle.
Jeez.
So yeah, the price of rock and roll.
Dave Grohling it, like when he falls off stage and snaps his leg, it's just like, oh, can I Dave
See,
Grohl it?
I think I broke my leg. It's like-
It was pretty funny. It's pretty
It
funny.
reminds me when poor Pink, when she got catapulted. And it's not funny. This stuff isn't funny. But she tried to do the X to stop. Yeah. And then she gets flung, and you just hear her go, "Oh, that was really sore." And it's like some like a Family Guy, and she was fine. So we're not laughing at anyone's injury, but it's just those moments when someone goes, "No, that really hurt." You know when someone's been serious.
Or hearing a Scottish voice saying Pink, it reminds me of that viral meme that went round of like, Pink, get done. Like,
Pink, get done.
have you not? Oh, it's like some Scottish guy like on TikTok, you know when she's doing like the aerial acrobatics, like, Pink, get done. Pink, get done. There's no reason to be doing all that.
That's so Scottish. You'll hurt yourself up there.
It really is.
Fellas, the reason why you're here today is because you got a brand new album coming out. And firstly, congratulations, because excluding compilations and live albums, this is album number 10.
Yeah.
Which
Bonkers.
is
How did that happen?
mental.
Only
Absolutely
old men
mental.
make 10 albums.
Veterans.
Young veterans, I was just going to say.
Just young
Young
hot veterans. You know?
Young hot vets in your area.
Exactly. That's what we'll do. If
That's the name of the next tour.
Yeah. How did we get here? The inspiration's still kind of there for us. We still love what we do. You know, it's we're not one of those bands that just kind of keeps going for the sake of it. I think we always like to reset and just find our new inspiration. So we took a couple of years off, found the juice supplier.
What was the mindset going into this record? I mean, especially like 10 records in, like what you mentioned the break then. Was it the case that you were like, all right, cool, we need to have a little bit of a factory reset right now?
During the pandemic, we brought out a record in 2020, which we weren't able to tour like everyone else. Life just stopped, and then we brought out another record in 2021. So I think we'd literally used up all our creative juices. We'd used all our energy in kind of compensating for the lack of activity. And then the tours that we did, they were like cancelled and rescheduled 3 or 4 times. So by the time we actually finished that tour, and we were just didn't know which way was up or down, and we just needed a wee break. We just needed to kind of be human beings rather than just guys in a band again. You normally find 1 or 2 ideas or songs that kind of then guide you for the rest of the album, and I didn't have that until like tail end of 23. I had a couple of songs where I was like, suddenly I was feeling creative, and I think we all knew there was something bubbling a little bit under the surface. But it's got to be right. It's got to be the right time. It can't just be for the sake of it.
Did you boys feel that as well? Like, I mean, especially like when it comes down to like your side of the band, like on the drums and bass guitar front, like, do you take Simon's lead with a track where he's like, okay, I've got a riff or I've got like a lyric, and then it makes your putting the jigsaw bit together a bit easier?
Very much so. We went up to a little village called Aberlour in the Highlands of Scotland, surrounded by snow. It was really quite magical, actually.
Beautiful.
We were really kind of cut off and felt that we were on our own, and we kind of just went there to hang out and reconnect, but we brought the guitars and the drums, and should we pick them up? Let's play some songs. And Simon started to show us some of his new ideas, and Ben and I were just licking our lips. Like, this is amazing.
Wonderful.
And I think we played for like 10 hours every day. And
In our pyjamas. And
in our
stuff.
pajamas.
Great. It was-
We probably should have talked. But we just, that feeling of hearing these ideas for the first time, there's really nothing sort of like that. Crafting the songs and working through any issues and trying to get to the finishing line is amazing. But the first time Simon plays one of his ideas is always like a really magical magical feeling. And,
Hell yeah.
It's really special. I wouldn't change anything about those moments.
Oh,
It's really amazing.
awesome! That's so awesome.
And I think also being, I can picture now looking over Simon's shoulder in the snow and the misty hills, and the distant smell of whiskey. You know,
I know.
it was.
It was cliche alert up there.
it
Whatever
really
it was,
was.
a Scottish band makes music in the
Aye,
Highlands.
we're in the town where they make the shortbread. You know, it was that it couldn't get any more Scottish.
We
than
needed
tried.
that little bit of together time as well. You know, I went away and did some, made some music with Empire State Bastard, which was a lot more intense and things. And I think it was nice for us to have those moments to come back together again, because we've been in each other's. Well, the boys are twins, obviously, but we've been in each other's lives since we were 6 or 7 years old, and you know, and it's the band is a real important part of our relationship, but it's not the only part of our relationship. And I think that's what's kind of kept us moving forward together over the years, you know, because even when things are tough, or if things get tough, we find a way through, you know. And I think if we didn't have that surface, that kind of foundational friendship, then the kind of, not the politics, but the logistics of being in a band and the pressures of it, you know, we feel very privileged to have people that want to hear our music, and we take our responsibility seriously. We really, when we put out records, want to make sure it's the absolute greatest thing we can make at that moment, and I think we got there in the end.
Oh, 100%. And I feel like the album title actually ties in quite nicely with that concept as well. Am I saying it right? Futique?
Yeah,
Futique. There we go.
Perfect.
There we go.
Natural.
Which, is this a word that you invented?
It isn't an existing word. It's a compound word with future antique. So basically, we've been so always moving forward. We've never kind of stopped and reflected, and me especially. And even the last couple of years, I kept moving with Empire State Bastard. And when I got home, starting to work on these songs in earnest and sharing them with the boys, I realised I wanted to kind of reflect on our journey. And there was lots of things to look back at, like really good times that I felt like I wasn't really aware of at the time. You know, I just lived through them and then enjoyed them in hindsight. And I think we're all kind of hitting that age where we really want to enjoy what we're doing as we're doing it, not always doing something because of what we're going to do next or where it's going to lead to, and just going, actually, isn't this amazing that we're still doing this after, you know, 20 to 30 years, and that this is our high school band, you know. It's like that's a wonderful thing, and it's worth celebrating, you know, because sometimes being in a band, it can get complicated, you know. There's so many other
But it's a
times.
business.
It is at a point, and Ben has said it beautifully, you know, you don't want it to be a job, but at points it does have to be a job. But we always, I think the reason why we survive is we manage to kind of extricate that a little bit from the magic of what we do. And things are always simple when it's just the three of us. I think that's when we kind of feel at our strongest, I would say. That's not to say we don't disagree about things, but it's if you have that shared want to pull things together, then I think you can kind of accomplish anything.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Let's go. Let's do it, everyone.
Taking over the world from the Highlands of Scotland.
So not
I'm moving a mouse.
Not content with writing great songs, Simon. Dr. Simon Neil is now writing the dictionary.
You're a doctor.
Yes, I got an
updating
honorary
new words.
doctorate. I am a Dr. Simon Neil. Thanks so much, James.
You're
'cause
most welcome.
I've
He
definitely
doesn't like
pushed
bringing
my
it up.
luck with that.
A humble doctor.
Yeah, exactly. A humble doctor saying no one ever. No, I've definitely pushed my luck on that one. So I'm glad James brought that up, because for about 6 months I was like, no, it's not Mr. Simon Neil. Although I thought about changing my passport until the thought of that call when you're on the plane. It's like, could Dr. Neil come to the front? There's a cardiac arrest, and I would just be up there going, do 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 do. Does that make you feel better, buddy?
I'm a doctor.
Few
I'm
more
a
songs.
doctor of riffs.
Doctor of riffs, I know. So that glory was snuffed out pretty early.
Ben, that I saw on Spotify when you were doing like the definitions of what Futique meant to you, and you gave that example of playing golf. You telling that story reminded me of that quote from The Office, which was, "I wish there was a way that you're knowing you were in the good old days before they've left."
Yeah,
And like hearing you tell that story, I was like, okay, cool. That was like the perfect definition, like of that album.
Yeah, that's fatigue
That's
definition.
bang on, yeah. But just one of those things that you kind of take for granted at the time, and you don't realise it might be the one time you do that. And that was my moment there, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was a beautiful story. Do you boys have a Futique moment?
Yeah, no, I guess mine's is the album now. Aye, that's mine.
I was about 18, 19. It was the first night I'd spent away from like the family home with my then girlfriend, and I was getting so excited about growing up and I'm a man and I'm moving out. And really what ended up happening is I spent the night crying because I realised it was somewhat the end of that first part of my life.
Yep.
It was the last night I would spend with my family in the family home. And I'd gone from being like, I'm a man, to just being a wee boy.
Yeah.
Crying in my bed watching my mummy.
Yeah.
Not sad, but also a bit reflective.
No, 100%. It is that feeling of like you don't know a good time until it's gone.
No,
And like,
and that's kind of what the sentiment is about, trying to embrace those moments when they're happening. You know, like make it. We all need to make an effort to appreciate the good times when they're happening, because we're all so distracted and preoccupied, and it's the nature of the modern world. But you know, it's just there's so much tumult out there, and there's so much mayhem and catastrophe that's actually. We've got to find a slice of something that kind of brings us joy. You know, for us, we're lucky we've got the band and each other. You know, but I think everyone out there, it's like just hug your loved ones and your family and that, because you know what, there's plenty that's going to stress us out for our entire lives. You know what I mean?
I feel like there's a good few lyrics on this record that touch on those feelings, especially in your next single, Goodbye, as well,
Yeah.
where, like, you know, it's the ballad of the album, I'm guessing.
Yeah, there's always a Biffy ballad.
Yeah,
I
a
know.
Biffy ballad. Love us a Biffy ballad. I miss you all, and goodbye, my love. Was it too much, but never enough? Like, where did that line come from? Like, what are you saying goodbye to? Are you saying goodbye to the past?
See, to be honest, there's probably a few stages to that song, and I think like the first kind of verse in that is about physically kind of like saying goodbye and leaving like your home, whether it's falling out with a lover or something like that. The second verse is about physically leaving a city or a place that is imbued with so many memories and regrets or whatever, and trying to move. And then I guess the end is about the last kind of part of it. I'll miss you all is about kind of leaving the earth and just deciding you've had enough. Damn. So there's kind of a few layers to that, and the too much but never enough line, because I sing that pops up in a couple of songs in the album, and it was something that I just feel that I've suffered from over the years. It's just, you know, we all probably have, you know, you give so much of yourself to things or to your music and that, and sometimes it isn't enough, you know, and I've kind of trying to learn to not always all have to operate at 100%, because there's nowhere then to go. So I'm trying to live in this 90% world now.
Yeah.
But it's about hitting breaking point, being really scared and just realising that one part of your life is over, and maybe that, you know, as I say, it kind of steps up in intensity as the song goes. I don't sit down and think this is what I'm going to sing about, but sometimes a lyric comes out and I know what I'm kind of getting at, but I try not become too cerebral with it. So the first couple of drafts of a song are mostly instinctual and kind of sentimental and whatever I'm kind of singing when I'm playing, and then I'll work in the you know, the lyrics and develop them a little more. But yeah, that's probably one of the key songs of the album. It's definitely the saddest song in the album, but it's not the last song in the album.
It did have last song energy, though.
Yeah,
it did.
I
I'm
know.
glad it wasn't, because if it would have been, I'd have started going, Biffy aren't breaking up on
I
it.
know. It's very easy to only see the negative parts of things, and you're like, I'm done with that. And then once something's out your life or someone's out your life, you realise all the positives and things.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's kind of what the song is as well, you know, almost not wanting to say goodbye.
Empire State Bastard supporting Sleep Token in the United States of America.
Yeah.
Can we talk about that very, very
What about,
quickly?
yes, I mean, I'll check the NDA.
Yeah.
You know what?
Vessel's watching, always
Vessel's
watching.
always watching. Vessel's always here. You know what? Vessel and the guys are unbelievable. What a band live as well. I have to say that they're an unbelievable band. The way Vessel writes music is I think is very, very unique, and I love what they're doing. To be touring America as that band were kicking off. I mean, the mania, the fervour, fans.
How quickly those shows sold out as well.
I know, and I think they're starting another US tour
Yep.
like this month or
Yeah.
something. But I mean, it was places in the middle of America. You know, we're not talking about just the coastal kind of more globally cultural places. I'm
Yeah.
talking about like in Dallas. There was thousands and thousands of people queuing for hours and hours to come see Sleep Token. This band really mattered to people.
Yeah.
It was really beautiful to see a modern rock band have that amount of passion in their fans. You know, it's been a tough 5-10 years for certainly for new rock bands.
Yeah,
but
100%.
rock music in general, and I just love that. I love the fact that they bring a little bit of Frank Ocean to what they're doing, but
Yep.
then it's the most gentiest metal you've ever
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
Commercial gent, who'd have thought
I
it?
know exactly, but that's it, and I love it. You know, whenever we sat down with Vessel, you know, we felt lucky to get to know him. They keep a really tight ship. It's beautiful the way they operate. They've kind of disproven every rule that you learn as a band in terms of how to operate, how often you need to tour, how you do interviews. It was really, I feel like I learned a lot from them, even though I've been touring way longer. But yeah, it was lovely to be around that. Obviously, the Empire State Bastard shows, everyone loved us. Oh, we went down really well.
course you did.
It was just what the guys were wanting. But you know, in all seriousness, doing that tour and stepping in front of thousands of people that really didn't want to see our band, they were there for sleep. I loved it.
Yeah.
And it's part of the reason I fell in love. Was desperate to get back to Biffy. You know, because see, making music with your mates and all that, it's a beautiful thing.
Yep. Tour in January.
Yeah.
Big rooms. You are known for some of the most insane live staging in modern music. Are we already having those conversations?
Can you say that again?
We are. we are.
We
Yeah, we
are,
are.
yeah.
We work
Cooking.
with an incredible production designer called Misty, who's worked on us with us for the last 10, 12 years. And yeah, we're formulating something really stunning. So yeah, January UK, February Europe, elsewhere the rest of the year. But yeah, we can't wait to see. We've missed the fans a lot, and we just can't wait to get back on stage, and hopefully we'll see you there too. John.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'll
Brilliant.
be at that London show. O2 Arena in London, isn't it?
O2, yeah.
O2, oh,
Yeah,
that's
you know,
class.
welcome to Norma Dime. you know.
Yeah. Casual 20,000 people. Well, boys, thank you ever so much for your time today.
It's our
Best of luck
pleasure.
with the release next week, and fingers crossed for another UK number
Thanks
one
for
album.
supporting
for you
us.
as well.
Thanks so much, man.
Thanks so much, brother.
Clang Radio.